It's not often I use pop culture references in my videos. And this pop culture reference I've only been able to use for the last few years, because it's only in recent years that I watched my first ever Star Wars movie. There's a very famous element to these movies if you've seen them or not. When I hadn't seen them, I knew this line, "May the Force be with you."
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Anakin, may the Force be with you.
And I find this fascinating when I watched it, because the Force is a very real element of our reality. It's not science fiction. It's not. It's actually something that you're supposed to be able to understand and access. And it's where phenomenal power is born in the human being. The Force. And how can you access the Force? How can you know the Force? And you have known it. I guarantee you have known it. You have known the pathway to it. You have been close to touching it. I guarantee this. At the very base, beneath all of consciousness and the allowance for manifestation, is unconditioned love. That is the love, the heart of God. This unconditioned love allowed for all consciousness, infinite potential, infinite consciousness, and therefore infinite potential in manifestation. It had to be that way. If there were restrictions and it were not infinite potential and infinite consciousness, if there were restrictions, it would have been a script. And so infinite potential, infinite manifestation possibilities had to be the way. That there is the loving heart of God. That's where unconditioned love is found. And that there is the Force. When you access this Force, when you access this field of consciousness, this realm of spiritual consciousness, which is there, you can bring it forward, and you can bring it forward in a state of acknowledging the I am unity of all things. And that which you bring forward will be empathetic and loving and caring. It will be the light. Or you can access it and you can bring it forward in arrogance and pride and separation as the mental identity, the psychological construct of who you are. And this will give birth to a hunger for power and control and a want to control this heart of God rather than surrender to it. And this is the dark side. This Force is the greatest force in the universe, undoubtedly. And Darth Vader said this in the movie. I took some quotes recently for making this video.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
He said this in the movie. Someone said this technology will be the greatest force in the universe. He said, no, the Force will always be the greatest force in the universe. And it's true. That's why we should not fear the metaverse. We should not fear these things if we have alignment and understanding with the heart of God. Now the problem is, of course, you can bring forward this profound, amazing energy that is the root foundation of all things, and you can use it for dark or for light. If you bring it forward in the awakened state of I am, if you have managed to surrender the inner identity, surrender the pride, the arrogance that you want to control it, that you are God, that you are this, if you surrender all of this and you come to the unity of I am an expression of all things and all things are expressing together as it expresses this human talking to you now, when you come from there, nothing but an open heart will occur. You will have discernment that is beyond comprehension. You will know immediately. When you enter a room and somebody's separated into ego and pride and darkness, you can feel it on them and you know, you discern it with ease. This person is very lost here, very separated from the truth. All of us can access the Force. When we get still in the stillness of the heart, we come through these realms of spiritual consciousness down to that Force. Down to that base level, down to that loving heart of God. And the thing is, it may allow for all things because that is unconditioned love. Infinite potential had to be the way for a true experience of life and love. but it does not agree with all things. That's why it comes through the realms of consciousness into men and women like myself and guides them in this nowness, in the I am presence, to parts of the world they've never been to help children they've never ever met or heard of. And I'm not alone in that. Millions of people are having that journey in this human story. It's just not getting onto the mainstream media, of course. But millions are there. Millions are being guided by the mind that disagrees with some of the elements of unnecessary suffering that is coming from this expression in potentiality of separation, of arrogance, of pride, of Lucifer, the fallen one, which is where this originates inside biblical culture of the West. So how do you access it, and have you accessed it? When you dance, have you ever danced just free flowing? Have you ever driven a car at high speed on a racetrack or otherwise? Have you ever pedaled your bicycle really fast as a kid and you're just in the zone and everything's going perfectly? When that happens, you are entering a space where action and decision becomes one movement. When action and decision is not one movement, a void opens up inside. Action and decision, decision and action. That void is where creeping in comes the intelligence of man and the separate identity and the lack of faith, and it starts to not trust the process. It starts to analyze. When a flock of birds is flying in unison together, they don't question their decision. Action and decision is a unified motion, and they move in a unified motion because of that. If it were humans, people would be doubting whether they should have turned and bumping into the next person. And that void that's happening between the unity of action and decision, which is the Tao, ultimately the Tao, this is where humanity begins to suffer. This is where we separate from the I am and the flow of creation. This is where we play that illusion out of separation from all that is flowing in one unified motion of creation expanding. You are part of that. And if you feel separated from that, you have opened up this space between action and decision. Inside the movie, Yoda famously says, "Do or do not you should, try you should not."
You must unlearn what you have learned.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
Do or do not you should, try you should not. This is profound wisdom. This is profoundly wise. You shouldn't try, because if you try, you are doing it from the void. You are doing it from the idea that there is a person to try. If somebody wants to be an extremely good archer or marksman, they have to release and act. They have to decide and release at exactly the same time. If someone wants to be an amazing race car driver, they have to unify decision and action as one fluid motion. If someone wants to be good at parkour, great at dancing, they have to unify. Those who become rigid and tense and concerned, those are the ones doubting if they should have said that. Those are the ones questioning, will I be judged? Will that be? And they're separating further and further from this unified field of frequency with the I am and creating this gap between decision and action, and it's getting filled up with the suffering of the mind and the need to control from the mind. And from there, that suffering must be satiated. So we start grabbing at power and pleasure and all of these things. Do or do not, you should. Try, you should not. If you try, you are engaging memory. You are engaging the person that you think you are inside your mind. You are engaging separation to try and do an action which can only happen through unity. When birds turn, they don't engage memory to analyze whether they turned the right way. When humans turn, in the most part, they cannot switch off memory. And I've said this before, to be free in the moment is to live without memory. And so have you ever accessed the force? Probably when you're dancing, when you're joking around, when you're running, when everything's just flowing so well, when you're just sharp and you're quick, when your reactions are so quick you stop something from falling. There is the force. And here is something that you can cultivate in meditation to move into that space, to move into the space where action and decision is unified. Now I'm referencing action and decision that's unified from within the I am. I'm not referencing those who live in form and say, I'm going to do this and hurt that person. Yeah, I'll do that. You don't want that unified. But this is not coming from the unified field anyway. There's no flow in that. if you want to understand the ability to walk by faith and not by sight, you can understand the Force. If you want to understand the unity between action and decision, you will understand that is a point where you're walking by faith. When you look at flowers growing, they are so beautiful because they are unified. Decision and action is unified. Humans light up with the same beauty when their decision and action is unified. You will light up with the same beauty when your decision and action is unified. This is the freedom of moving from the heart, within the heart of God. And so the Force is a very beautiful analogy. It's the Tao, it's the Tao. It's the flow of all things. But the problem is that so many, unfortunately, identify and are trained by our society to believe upon separation. Even those pursuing God, even those who want to be born again, they don't achieve it. They say, okay, I'm John, I'm English, I'm Christian, I'm this, and you bolt all of these things onto this character of separation inside the mind. Instead of really letting go of all of that and returning back to, I am. I am that I am. When you return there, your heart opens, you begin to expand, you feel that unconditioned love. And that's where you know, from peace and from love, you will know. You are walking in the light of the Force, the light of the Tao. When it is coming from anxiousness, anxiety, agitation, anger, then you are flowing from the dark side. It's a beautiful gift, if you know how to see it. God bless, guys. Be well. Bye. Star Wars. Brilliant. I've only seen one movie. I should watch some more, see if I can get some more references, but don't really have time for them at the moment, unfortunately. Anyway, God bless, guys.
In January, Nerdin came to our community and we immediately started a fundraiser for her. The gratitude quickly raised the money to take care of her needs. She needed such things as a wheelchair, exercise equipment, and a full-time caretaker. The exercise balls will allow her spine to move in many ways, helping to develop her nervous system and motor skills, along with developing her structural muscles. As she begins to develop in these areas, her brain will also develop a lot quicker as well. It will be a beautiful experience to witness as she develops her ability to move her body and express herself more. Having someone with her full time, teaching her, feeding her nutrient-dense foods, providing good quality water, getting medical checkups, as well as having a community is everything Nerdin needs to develop and grow. This is all made possible by the abundance of love in the hearts of everyone in the community, as well as those who provide donations. We are so grateful to be a part of this mission and excited to see Nerdin's progress with her new resources available. Thank you to everyone involved in this fundraiser. Much love and gratitude, family.